you still appear. And it's not when you expect it. It's when everything seems normal. This person is stuck in traffic, distracted, and suddenly remembers the way you held the steering wheel. It's automatic, uncontrollable, almost violent. You cross their mind without warning, uninvited, without permission. This person opens any drawer, finds a t-shirt. Yes, that one. The one you used to wear. The one that holds memories, silence, and longing. And there, even if no one sees, this person feels it, swallows hard, pretends they didn't touch it, but they did. They noticed. In their body, in the memory, in the nostalgia that doesn't fade yet doesn't scream either. You linger in small things, in a familiar tone of voice, in a name that someone lets slip unintentionally, in a scent that appears out of nowhere, in an emotional jolt that can't quite be explained. This person perceives you, even when they don't want to, even when they swear they've forgotten, even when they try to suppress it. You come back because you remain, not by choice but by presence. Some things don't disappear. They just hide. This person remembers what no one else saw, your sleepy face, the way you walked to the door, the way you said you'd be back but didn't always return, and that's why you invade. For everything that wasn't finished, for everything left in the middle, for all that was felt too deeply and explained too little. This person doesn't speak of you, but carries you, but feels you, but repeats gestures without realizing. And that's where it hurts, because it's not just longing, it's active absence. It's space still occupied. It's a mark that won't fade. This person remembers, even when they don't want to remember, even when they try to move on, even when they seem fine. If this touched you, comment, "I needed to hear this." You wonder if you still make a difference, if you still live in someone, if you still leave a trace. The answer is in what this person doesn't say, in what continues to ache quietly, in what resurfaces in the middle of an ordinary day, for no reason, without control, just because you were a part of it, and still are. This person hasn't forgotten you. They just learned to live with the memory, but you are still there, steadfast, implicit, present. You show up, not when expected, not when planned, but when the mind is distracted and the body thinks it has finally forgotten. And that's exactly when you return. This person is sorting through old papers, thinking they're just organizing their life, and suddenly a handwritten note, in your handwriting, with a phrase you said without even thinking much of it, and they pause. The time freezes inside. The heart tightens in a different rhythm, and that feeling, which seemed buried, rises up whole, as if it had never left. You live in the gaps, between one thought and another, between a coffee and a yawn. You slip through the cracks of routine. This person notices, even when they pretend not to. And it's not by choice, it's by accumulation. You're in the most impossible corners to clean, in the way a song starts, and it feels exactly like that day, in how someone walks by with the same perfume you used to wear, in the expression someone makes that reminds them of your reaction when you were silent, but said everything with your eyes. This person notices and feels with their body, with their skin, with their gut, because some absences aren't voids, they are echoes, and you echo. You move through the now as if there's still a reserved space, and the truth is there is. You still have a place even if it's empty. This person may not talk about you, may not say your name, may not even admit they feel, but they do. They feel it when they smile for no reason, and then realize they were thinking of you. They feel it when they hold their phone not knowing who to text, and think about how you would respond. They feel it when they look at a piece of clothing they never wore again, or when they try to explain to someone why they stopped going to a certain place, and can't bring themselves to say it's because you were there with them. This person carries what you both were, until what you almost were, until what you never became, but nearly did. And that weighs. That leaves a mark. That comes back. You didn't disappear. You became an active memory. You're not in the past. You became a reference, a point of comparison, a silence that still screams. This person feels you even in the way they hold a cup, because that was your way, in the way they fold a towel, because you did it that way, in the way they listen to a song and switch tracks before crying, because that was your song, and it still is. What you left was not just a memory, it was a gesture, it was a habit, it was energy. You entered so deeply that you became part of who this person is, and that doesn't fade away. This person carries you in everything, even without showing it. in the places where they sit alone, in the way they avoid certain topics, in the glances that avert when someone asks, "Are you really okay?" This person goes on with the day, but doesn't go on with you. You remain, like a shadow of presence, like proof of something that hasn't passed. And when they're in the middle of any conversation and laugh at something and suddenly go silent, it's because they remembered you, of a phrase, of a touch, of an ending that didn't have an end. This person learned to function in your absence, but that doesn't mean they've moved on. It means they've adapted, like someone learning to walk with a slight ache, but a constant one. You are that, a bearable pain, but ongoing. That tightens every now and then. That reappears when least expected. You still live somewhere inside, in a corner that this person doesn't let anyone access, and when someone asks why they've suddenly gotten quieter, they make up some excuse. But deep down they know, it was you, again, coming in uninvited, as you always did, as you always will. If this has happened to you, comment, "I needed to hear this," because you come back, in the form of absence, in the form of presence that no longer has a body but still has a voice, in the form of impulse, of memory, of emptiness full of meaning. This person can continue on with life. You can love again. You can experience other things. But nothing takes away what you left behind. Nothing undoes what made an impact, and maybe you don't even realize it. Maybe you think it was just another story, but it wasn't. This person is still trying to understand how someone who left can still feel so present, so real, so close. And maybe you notice it now, only now, maybe too late, but it's noticeable. You're where no one else can see, but it's where this person feels it all the time. At the end of a difficult day, in the silence before sleeping, in the urge to share good news and remember that it can't happen anymore, you are still the what if that this person could never bury. Have you ever experienced something similar? Share with me in the comment, because some things remain, even when everything around changes, even when time passes, even when life seems to go on. Some people linger inside. You are that kind of person. This person doesn't speak, doesn't post, doesn't expose, but feels. And you know that now, because if you made it this far, it's because you felt it too. There's no specific day, there's no specific place. You just show up, and when you do, you dismantle everything. This person tries to pretend it didn't happen, but the body reveals it, the memory reveals it, the heart reveals it, and sometimes it's not even sadness. It's just a clean emptiness, a space that no one else has filled. You've become that, a space that no one can reach, no matter how hard they try. If this text reminded you of someone, share it. Comment a heart if you're on this journey together. You still pulse inside someone who learned to hide, not because they wanted to, but because they didn't know what to do with everything that remained. This person moved on, but never really passed. And there's a huge difference between passing and continuing to live. You didn't pass, you remain. In the reactions they have that they don't even understand, in the irritation that arises out of nowhere when they hear a similar name, in the internal confusion they feel when someone gets too close, because getting too close is touching a territory where you were once the king, where you still reign even without being present. This person has built layers on top of what they felt, but none of those layers are enough to erase you. You are still the emotional starting point. Everything they feel today, on some level, passes through you. They're afraid to get attached again, because they know how much it hurt to lose you. They're afraid of repeating patterns, because they realize many of them were born from what you both experienced, or didn't experience. There are nights when this person wakes up for no reason, or thinks of you in the middle of a completely random conversation. These are lapses, but lapses filled with truth. You don't disappear, you manifest in subtle yet profound ways. Like that feeling that something is missing, even when everything seems to be in its place. And you know what else is unsettling? It's that this person doesn't even know if they want to forget you anymore, because forgetting you would be admitting that none of this was real. It would mean losing the only place where there's still some kind of connection, even if that connection is made up of absence, of longing, of suffocated memories. You've become a kind of presence that doesn't require touch anymore, but demands remembrance. You are no longer someone to wait for. You're someone to feel, even from afar, even in silence. You are that memory that hurts, and at the same time, comforts. Because this person still finds some form of peace in remembering you, even if just for seconds, even if the pain comes soon after. You were indeed important. You were, indeed, love, even if confusing, even if unresolved, even if interrupted. This person won't say that to you, not directly, not aloud, not. But if you could see what happens inside when they hear your name, you would understand everything. You would know that nothing was erased. It just went quiet, because shouting got tiring. This person notices you even in what they chose to forget, because forgetting is a choice, but remembering is a reflection. You are a constant reflection. Memory that seeps through the cracks, presence that reappears when the world slows down. There's something about you in the way this person holds back tears, in the way they look ahead, trying to appear strong, but it's not strength, it's defense. Defense against what you still provoke, and you provoke even in silence, even in absence, even when you're gone. This person hasn't blocked you from their heart. They've blocked you from their routine, but from their feelings, they never could. You've left something so alive that sometimes they find themselves reliving conversations, answering questions you never asked again, imagining talks that never happened, inventing endings that never came. This person has been following this internal script for a long time, maybe since you left, or worse, since you stayed, without really being there. Do you know what that is? It's absence with presence. It's presence without a body. It's active longing. This person misses what was, but also what could have been, what was interrupted, what only just began. And it's that almost that hurts the most, because almost love also leaves marks, and sometimes it leaves even deeper marks than love fully lived. This person continues making space for you, even if they don't say so, even if they don't even realize it. It's in the playlist they can't erase, in the message that was never sent, in the memory that insists on coming back at the wrong time, or the right time, depending on what still exists inside you, because you feel it too, even if you say you don't, even if you pretend you've moved on. There's something in you that knows. There's a connection that was not severed. There's an invisible but perceptible bond, a kind of energy that still flows between the two of you, even from a distance, even in silence. This person still calls out to you from within, even if the voice doesn't come out, even if the mouth doesn't confess. And do you know why? Because certain presences cannot be explained. They are lived, even from afar, even after. If this text has touched you until now, write a word that defines you right now, because this story hasn't ended. It hasn't really begun. It's been suspended between what was and what still resonates. It didn't have a final period. It had a pause, a strange interlude between what was lived and what lacked the courage to be said. You still live in this person. And it's not by choice, it's by bond, by mark, by a presence that refused to die. This person tries to rationalize, to tell themselves it was just a cycle, a phase, a good memory, but the body tells a different story. The soul reveals it, and time, no matter how much passes, doesn't take away what is felt within. You appear, you always appear, in the supermarket line, on the road, in the scent of soap on cloudy days, in a word someone repeats, in the color of a stranger's shirt. This person doesn't look for you on social media, but they miss you in details that no one would understand. They think about sending you a message and delete it. They think about forgetting you and remember. They think about hating you but feel nostalgia. You've become this living contradiction, this trace, this pulsing memory that burns in silence. And maybe you'll never know this, or maybe you know it now, reading all this, feeling it. Because when the memory returns without warning, without reason, without logic, it's because there's still energy circulating. This person may smile in photos, post quotes about resilience, say they're over it, but there's a place inside them where time stopped, and that place has your name. If you realize this now, then you already understand. You never truly left. They just learned to feel in silence. If this touched you in any way, comment below. I needed to hear this. Share this video with someone who carries memories they never knew how to explain. There are people feeling the same way and thinking they're alone. Tell me in the comments, have you ever lived something like this? That absence that insists on returning at the worst or best moments? Message me. I read everything. Leave a like if this made sense to you. It's the simplest and most powerful way to say, I feel that too. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming messages. There's still a lot more to feel together. This conversation doesn't end here. Click on the next video. If this one hit you, the next one will turn you inside out. I'll see you there, always. In the silence you don't post, but feel.